welcome. Please sit down. Thank you so much for showing up early. I appreciate that, especially short notice. I understand that with your work schedule that this was sort of an impromptu, and I'm glad you could make it early to this interview with as little short notice as you had. So thank you so much for being here early. Punctuality is a trait that we look for here at the World Wide Wicket Company, and I'm very glad and excited that you are here. Did you have any difficulty finding the place and finding parking? All right, well, that is something. I'm very happy to hear that you were able to still arrive here on time. That's great. Did you want any water or coffee before we get started? Well, I'm glad to hear that you're well caffeinated. Now, before we proceed, do you have any concerns with this interview being recorded for posterity and future hiring decisions? You do need to sign here. And let me find you a pen. I keep on losing pens lately. Let's see. Here we go. So there's a pen. Yes, you do need a sign. This is purely for internal business purposes only. Nothing of this interview can be used externally for promotional purposes without your permission. No, I haven't heard that question before. That's a great question. No, you cannot have a copy of this interview. This is a World Wide Wicket proprietary interview, so anything that is in this interview will be used internally for business purposes of the World Wide Wicket Company. Nothing can be used externally without your permission. That includes giving it to you. No, even with your permission, we cannot provide this to you. This is our audio copy of the interview. No, you cannot record this interview for your purposes. I don't know what purposes those would be. No, you cannot use this. This is an interview. It's not an audition. Let's just be very clear. This is not an audition. Right, I am aware of that, but this is an interview for the World Wide Wicket Company. So no, you cannot have a copy of it, and you cannot record your own copy of this interview. No, this isn't an acting position. Right. You did read the job description, right? No, not role description, job description. I understand that this is the role you would be playing in the company, but it's not a performance. This is a job. No, your job is not to act in this role. I can see your attitude of coming here with that mindset. Okay, let me start from the beginning. The job title is the mid-level assistant associate production agent manager position. That's the job title. This is not a part of a bigger play or production. It's, even though it is of the production department. No, this isn't a role that you would be putting on. You are just you doing the work of the mid-level assistant associate production agent manager position. Well, I get that life, it's a stage and we're all performers. And are you done signing the documents so that we can? Right. Okay. Thank you. And there we go. No, I haven't heard that. That's a new question as well. No, we cannot sell your signature. No, that's your signature, not your autograph. I didn't need your autograph. I needed your signature. I also need you to verbally consent to being recorded. Do you verbally consent to being recorded for this interview? Again, not an audition, interview. Right. Okay, so I think I see the confusion here. So you see every job as a performance, and that you play the character of the best person for this job. That's how you gain the confidence to go into the interview, is that you essentially pretend that you're already ready for this job. Okay. Sure. I can play along with that. I just need you to understand that the terminology I will be using is as the interviewer of the HR hiring manager of the World Wide Wicket company, and that is the role that I am playing. So I will not be using the terms of audition and role because that would not be the lines I would use. Does that make sense? There we go. Okay. All right. So we're both playing this role and we're both in character starting as of when I begin interviewing questions. Okay. So just make sure you understand this is not an audition for a part. This is an interview for a job, the job of which is the mid-level assistant associate production agent manager position here at the World Wide Wicket company. You are not playing the interviewee. You would be playing... Okay. Sure. Whatever works for you. Okay, so I am going to be typing down notes and information as well. And in the process of going paperless, we do have this dual method of recording the interview and typing down the information as well. So going through a few of the... I'm still a little confused. So if you're playing a part, how do you know what your lines are? You're a method actor. Okay. Don't know quite what that means. Okay. So essentially this is a giant improv sketch that we are building from here. And so you're going to, what, be yes-anding me? Okay. As long as you're talking and answering questions truthfully to the way that you would perform in this job duty. Does that make sense? Okay. So information of the scene. This is an extensive interview process here at the World Wide Wicket company. We normally do 2 to 3 interviews here, and the interview process today should not take more than 30 minutes. If all goes well. Do you have any concerns with that time frame? Right, okay. This is an open interview, so if you have any questions, please feel free to ask any and all questions relating to the position. I am going to start off with a little bit of background information about the company. Here at the World Wide Wicket company, we pride ourselves as being the leading... Okay, yes, all questions are appreciated. Yes, I do have some notes here. Yes. Can you get a copy of the script? No, again, this is not a script. These are just a few basic notes of like the interview questions. No, you can't get a copy of it. Because part of the interview is listening and responding. Well, I'll get there. Most of these are behavioral-based questions. So they're primarily behavioral and personality-based questions. There aren't right or wrong answers. For the most part, there aren't wrong answers. Right. Correct. Yes. You know, like a job interview. Okay. Have you done any research into the World Wide Wicket company? All right, so let me set the scene and give you a bit more information about the World Wide Wicket company. Here at the World Wide Wicket company, we pride ourselves as being the industry-leading brand of wickets, from manufacturing, distribution, promotion, operation management, and even including research and development. There is no other company that has such a comprehensive process of providing the best... Yes? Right. Wickets. That is a great question of what is a wicket? Well, you know, that is something we would go further into during the orientation process. If you get this position, you can look up what a wicket is later at your own convenience. I'm not going to go further into that. But we are a company that has a full comprehensive process of providing the best wickets. We're the only company that have a full vertical and horizontal business practices to capitalize upon our reputation and brand when it comes to corporate efficacy and the environmental impact of wicket production. Yes, wicket production does require lots of manufacturing efforts and sort of factory work. As the mid-level assistant associate production agent manager position, you would not be doing the factory work. You'd be in charge of the mid-level activities as an assistant to the production manager position. Right. Okay. So kind of fully aware of that this mid-level assistant associate production agent manager position would be involve lots of communication between different people. Yes, the full ensemble. Okay. Right. Now, at the end of the interview, would you mind filling out a survey or leaving a comment after this interview? We are in the process of updating our interview processes, and anything you think that could be helpful and improve the way that we do interviews, or something you want to see in interviews going forward to help, something that would help future candidates in the interview process of this position. We fully appreciate any comments and feedback that is constructive and helpful. Please be respectful and business appropriate when leaving your comments at the front desk. Truly appreciate any comments that we get, and we do try to implement those comments that we receive. Yes. Right, well, we are trying to find the right person for this job, so we are very particular in the individual that we're looking for. So, right? Yes, we are looking for a unique kind of person. No, it's not like a casting position. Right, no, that would be illegal. Those are all protected classes. Right, height, body type, gender, ethnicity, race, none of those things are at all important, critical, or affect our hiring decision at all. Right, no, because those are protected classes. No, age also would be discriminatory in our hiring process. We cannot discriminate based on age. We cannot hire minors for this position. No, not minors like someone who works in a mine. No, minors as in someone under age. We can't. No, we don't hire child actors. We don't hire children at all. Let me be clear on the record, fully clear. The World Wide Wicket company has never and will never hire children. Okay? All right. No child labor happens at the World Wide Wicket company. No, we will never hire children for this position, because that would be illegal. We will never hire children at the World Wide Wicket company. I don't understand your question. Yes, I have parents. Yes, I was a child, but I'm not a child now. We do not hire anyone under the age of 18 here at the World Wide Wicket company. Correct. That is the we right. Have to be 18 or older to be hired here at the World Wide Wicket company for any of our positions. Right. Okay. Good. Yes, I have interviewed children before, but that was because of a problem with analyzing their resume. No, they did not get the position because, as I mentioned, the World Wide Wicket company never has and never will hire children. No, we don't do casting because we're not part of a performance or a play. Right, I noticed that you sent in your SAG-AFTRA paperwork, and that does not apply to this position because this is not an acting position. This is not an acting role. I understand that you are an actor. Right. No, gender does not matter. Well, you be an actor whether you were... That doesn't matter. It's an actor, right? That's the politically correct. Anyway, right, doesn't matter because that's a protected class. Okay? No, actors are not a protected class. Gender is a protected class. Right, we cannot discriminate based on gender for hiring this position. Because we're not hiring an actor. I understand that that's what you are, but this position is not because you're an actor. This position is because we think you might be well fitted for the mid-level assistant associate production agent manager position. Right. Okay. So we're on the same page. Yes, I did see that your resume had a link to your IMDb page. That is the first time that there has ever been someone on their resume that listed their IMDb page. It was very fascinating. Well, yes, I am aware that it was short, but that's not relevant to this position. Well, this is an entry-level position, and it's not really the skills that you're coming in with that are critical for this position, except for your communication skills and your familiarity with technology, since there is a lot of use of technology in the communication aspect, especially in the business sector these days. So we are looking for someone who is technologically savvy and is well versed in communication with a wide variety of people and perspectives. So your ability to enter into a role and see things from a different perspective can be very valuable for this position. All right, so to get to the interview and to ask a few questions, what interested you in the... Yes. No, I did mention that this is an open interview. All questions and feedback is appreciated. Yes. This is supposed to be 30 minutes. No rush. Right. That is a good question. So we are looking for the mid-level assistant associate production agent manager position. Yes, I am aware that is a lengthy job title. Right. So your core duties would be in communication and working with other people in this department. Well, you did see the list of job duties for this position, correct? That is the role that you would be putting on if you got hired for this position, correct? Okay, so let me get to a little bit more about the mid-level assistant associate production agent manager position. The leadership is critical since it is a kind of manager position. You're not a manager. You're not paid as a manager. You are an assistant to the associate of the production agent manager. So you will be leading a team, but also be reporting to multiple different positions above you and laterally, such as the associate production agent managers, the lead production agent managers, the executive production agent manager, the executive production manager, the lead agent managers, the executive agent manager, the lead production managers, the assistant to the executive production agent manager, the assistant to the executive agent managers, the assistant to the executive production managers, the lead agent production managers, the executive agent production managers, the assistant to the executive agent production manager, and the chief operating officer. Yes, those were all different positions here at the World Wide Wicket company. Right. So you are working with a wide variety of different people in different team work aspects, and you would be communicating with multiple departments, leads, assistants, and reporting to different managers and bosses all the time while running a team of your own to assist in the management of production agents. Right. So yes, that is your role and part here at the World Wide Wicket company. Yes, I have noticed that you've been mirroring me, and that is a great interview tactic. It is a great, useful skill to essentially mirror the same body language as the interviewer, and the hand motions and the cadence of how they talk. I get that. That's great. That's very helpful and endearing, but that is not critical to your normal work functions. Right. And you do that very well, but that's not what we're looking for. That is a great question. What are we looking for in the mid-level assistant associate production agent manager? What we're looking for is communication skills and learning, understanding people's skills, understanding body language, and mirroring me is a great start to understanding body language. But what we're really looking for is that person that is going to fit our unique corporate atmosphere and company culture. We are looking for someone with the same aptitude and mindset that will work well with our team dynamics and function correctly so that you can really inhabit the spirit of the World Wide Wicket company. We're looking for someone who shares the same motivations and goals, and that's why a lot of these questions in this interview are personality and behavioral based questions, not skill oriented questions. We're not looking for can you do the work. What we're looking for is how you do the work and why you do the work, and making sure that your personality doesn't have conflicts with the wide variety of people in the different team atmospheres that you would be working with. So we're looking for great teamwork and collaboration skills. But we're not asking to try and figure out those skills. What we're looking for is how you would implement those skills. Does that make sense? Right. Well, to elaborate on those would require more insight into the different people and team dynamics. And you know what? Those would be great things to get into in a second interview. But we only really have about 30 minutes for this interview. So, to go back to this position. Right. Well, I understand that you really want to fully grasp all of the elements of the character that you would be playing. But to really grasp all the elements of the character you'd be playing, what we really want to know is you. Who you are. What are you bringing into the role? So when you say that you would describe yourself as a blank slate, a clean canvas for us to integrate and teach and learn, essentially impart wisdom and skills and information with, what do you mean? Right. But this is not an acting role. So when you say that you will put on whatever face, and I don't know what you mean by put on face. Right, and I understand that you've been very professional, so essentially mirroring the attitude and energy that I bring, and that's fascinating. I get that that's a useful interview tactic, is to come in with the same speed and energy and not cause conflicts. Essentially, find out the wavelength of the interviewer. You know, it might be helpful in regards to communication. If are you open to just a little bit of constructive feedback? Right. Well, I think that gets to one of my questions is actually, can you give a time of when you've made a mistake, had to receive constructive feedback, and how you were able to implement it? Okay, so that is a very fascinating situation, and I'm sorry you had to go through that. Sorry, I thought you were done. £80? Isn't that unhealthy? I mean, in such a short amount of time, that seems unrealistic to expect. I don't even know this. That is right. Isn't that contradictory to what the role is? If you put on the weight so that you can lose the weight, shouldn't you just not have put on the weight? They wanted you to do both. That's... Okay. That also seems inhumane. Right. And so you lost the part because you weren't willing to compromise on that? Right. Okay. So I definitely value your commitment to the story and the character, and that's great. And that's very tragic. I'm sorry to hear about that. It seems that you are very opinionated, and that's great. It's great to have strong conviction. What I'm feeling, though, is that you have a tendency to maybe don't interrupt someone when they're trying to provide you with constructive feedback, and don't interrupt someone in the middle of their question by asking another question that's not related to the question they're gonna... Yes. No, that is not what we're looking for. Right. No, I'm not trying to yes and build off of the character you're playing. What I am trying to do is interview who you are to make sure that you're the right fit for this position. Yes, I did say that we would be essentially improvising. What I meant was that that's what you were trying to do in regards to this interview. You should be following my lead and not the other way around. because I'm not an actor. I'm a human resources professional. But you see the problem that I'm having here is you're trying to act and do an acting exercise, and I am trying to conduct an interview. No, I'm not trying to be the straight man. No. Okay. Two things. One, sexual orientation is another protected class. I can't ask about that, can't document it, has absolutely nothing to do with you getting hired for this position. Okay, so just moving that along. Second, the term straight man, as I'm sure you're well aware from your acting history and taking acting classes, is the role of playing the serious person in regards to someone playing a less serious person, or the comedic foil, the person who takes things as if they are realistic, so that the absurdity and comedy of the situation can really fully envelop, which is what happens often in improv. I did not say that. Okay. So what is it like being an actor? But that's who you are. I'm interviewing you. I'm not interviewing what you think I want to hear. Okay? So, because that's who you are. You are an actor. What is it like being an actor? Okay, now please be honest. Was that a prepared monologue? Thank you. So, with this position, it is a full-time position with overtime. I'm usually more cagey about it, but honestly, there's going to be overtime with this position. You will not be able to audition and act while you have this position. It's just unrealistic for you to be able to get the amount of time off. Right, we have an unlimited time off policy, but you have to still do work here. And if you get an actual acting position or acting part, there is no way for your acting schedule to line up with your work schedule. So with that being said, why are you transitioning from an acting career to this mid-level assistant associate production agent manager position? But even going to auditions will be difficult to schedule. Right, but your casting director didn't set up this interview. Right. No. We never were in touch with your casting agent. No. Are you working with an hiring agency? Right, like a talent acquisition agency, someone that works as a third-party recruitment officer. Right. Okay. Did they set up this interview? No, they did not. Okay. But they informed you that we were hiring. Why did they do that? No, okay, so there's a little confusion. Talent acquisition recruitment officers don't get paid unless they're the ones that set up the interview. If we have not agreed to that interview and you apply for the position, they don't get the commission. Also, it's kind of a breach of your contract with the talent acquisition recruitment officer. Now, recruitment officers are often trying to find you a position that you're most suited for. That is any work position, not acting positions, unless they are like a specialized acting recruitment officer. But most of those are casting agents or talent agents. I know talent acquisition officers sounds like they're talent agents for actors, but they're not most of the time. Usually they are specialized in a particular field or industry or in general work, usually location based. It's like, hey, I'm looking for work here in this city. They will be helping you try to find work in that city. Right. You do not have a casting agent, apparently. You are working with the wrong kind of agents. And you do not follow their rules and regulations in contract appropriately when scheduling this interview. Right. And that's why I was saying this is not an acting position. No, I was not playing the role. I am literally telling you this is not an acting position. Right. No, it is active. Okay, here's the problem that we had over the phone. When you were talking to the other human resources person that was in charge of setting up the interview, you asked them if it was an active position. Okay, fine. You asked if it was an actor position. However, they heard it was an active position, as in open, available. It's kind of a problem with terminology and words and language and communication. Right. So despite me saying that this was not an actor position, are you still convinced that this is a role that you would be playing? Acting in? Yes. Right. Okay. I completely agree that this would be so much easier if both of us had a well-written script. 100% agree. Yes, you can stop the mirroring and the improv exercises. Yes, that is very charming. But that is not what we are looking for in this position here at the World Wide Wicket company. Do you have any other questions for me today? So I would just keep doing what you're doing, but get an actual casting agent and not a recruitment agent or a talent acquisition agent. Actually get an actor talent casting agent. Okay? Find one of those. Listen to what they say and follow their contract. Okay? Well, I don't know. I've never done that before. But I'm saying that the agent you have right now, they're not helping you. So, I think that's pretty much all that we had. Oh boy, we really went over time. Thank you so much for interviewing with us today. You should hear back from us in a couple of days. As I mentioned, we have many candidates that are interviewing for this position. You will either receive an email from me or a phone call. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to send me an email. Right. I don't think I need it. No, you did not get the part because there was no part available. This is a job interview, not an acting reel or actor audition. I'm very sorry for any communication or miscommunication that we have had. I don't know how I could have been more clear. Again, please check your inbox and have your phone ready. You will get an email or a phone call in a couple of days. Thank you again. Have a great week. And please, again, leave a comment with our front desk of how this went. Thank you. Yes, cut and scene. You can go. Have a wonderful day.